Welcome to Wednesday. It's November 12th, 2025. Your day with the podcast being brought to you by the Advocates Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, don't face it alone. Get an experienced local Wyoming attorney on your side. Free consultations at wyomingadvocates.com or call 307-800-1952. You deserve an advocate. Well, what a show last night. I'm not able to show all the photos. I got so many, it was just overwhelming. But I want to thank everybody for sending their photos because they were spectacular. And last night was quite the show. I was able to see it. A lot of other people were able to see it, not only across the West, but a large part of the nation and the globe. We're going to be quiet weather-wise here for the next couple of days. We're going to continue with this unseasonably warm, beautiful November weather in the western United States. Then the West Coast and the desert Southwest is going to get wet. We have a Pacific storm system that's going to come into the west. It's going to split, as we talked yesterday. Then we're going to get that pick and roll pattern as we have a wave go through, allowing room for the next wave to kick northeast, moving through the Central Rockies and Plains late this weekend and early next week. And signs are there. Although large-scale structural changes in the jet stream pattern that would initiate a change in the weather from this warm and dry to colder, more unsettled, well, that's showing up as we go on into the longer term. We'll talk about that here in a moment. Again, I want to thank everybody for sending their photos. They were incredible and really just doesn't serve it justice to show you a few of them, but we've got some great ones. We'll start off with a video from Jan Curtis showing the time lapse, looking out across southeastern Wyoming and to just an incredible light show. And we had some different texture, we had some different features. Some of you saw shooting stars and different colors. This one, obviously, as you'll all know, it was kind of like the Christmas aurora, a lot of red and a lot of green. And we had different situations where we had green on the bottom and green on the top and red in the middle. And really all throughout the region. It was a light show that was extremely bright and wide-ranging, as we had not one but two coronal mass ejections kind of come together, as we showed you in the video yesterday, what's called the cannibal coronal mass ejection, where one overruns the other, and you kind of have a doubling effect of the aurora coming on through. Another shot there of the different colors and the different shapes. And as you probably witnessed, things change rapidly and quickly. You get to see things change with your eyes. Here's a great story. Sage has been trying for a long time to see the aurora and was able to see it in the Laramie area last night, even with a couple of shooting stars you could see there. And even better, she got to see it with her dad, who's been helping her try to observe the aurora here over the last several years. Could there be another light show tonight? Maybe. But as we know, it's really hard to predict these. Like last night, this one came on like gangbusters at the last minute and certainly exceeded expectations, all the way down to the Zuni Mountains of New Mexico, all the way down south into Farmersville, Texas. The latitude extent got very far south with this system. And here's a shot from the northern Bighorn Basin of Wyoming last night, a great shot from northeastern Nebraska, and then from Pinedale, and then into Hot Springs State Park. How's that for kind of a Christmas display right there? And then a great shot from eastern Laramie County. And then Walden, Colorado got to experience the light show. And a great shot of, look at that green. Look at that green enhancement that showed up kind of in fits and spurts for a little bit from Hamel, South Dakota. Again, thanks everybody for sending your photos. Sorry I couldn't get them all in. We still have one more coronal mass ejection to come through. It's going to come through later today. Go to spaceweather.com or go to NOAA's space weather site to get the latest information. But we do have one more CME coming through, and this is part of the X-Class Fair, which was a big one. There's a lot on the internet about this recent solar event, as it kind of tipped the scales on a lot of the readings and is quite an extreme event. And it is rivaling what we saw not too long ago in that month of May. As we look at the satellite photos, yes, there's finally something happening in the western United States. We have this trough approaching the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. We continue to have very quiet weather, though, over a lot of the lower 48, as you can see here. So you can see the low coming along the West Coast, that broad area of high pressure over the Four Corners area, and Pacific air is going to bring a warming trend to the eastern United States. Just got done with that big Arctic outbreak. We're going to be talking more about this pattern right here, but we're getting what we call a Greenland block setting up to where we have this high pressure ridge in the North Atlantic going up to Greenland. This is going to be a player longer term. Short term, though, we still have this very mild flow of air and will today and tomorrow and likely into the day on Friday. But that West Coast system splits, and we have the splitting pattern take a low off the coast of Southern California. This little ripple right here comes through very quickly Friday night into Saturday, and it will produce some weather up here, as I'll show you in a moment. With that low getting cut off, we await the kicker. This guy comes in and kicks this out, then this guy goes this way as we get into Sunday and Monday. Through Saturday, this is what the precipitation looks like. Look how wet California is going to be. Going to see some high elevation snows in the Sierra. The snow levels are pretty high, but California going to get a good soaker here from this storm system. And the northern breaking up of that trough where it splits, that northern split, is going to get the mountains of northwestern Wyoming and eastern Idaho with some snow, some moisture up into Montana, some showers streaking out across the Dakotas. But with that first initial wave, still nothing going on here. Now, as that system gets kicked out, that moisture will spread a little bit more out of the southwest. And here's your snowfall potential through Saturday. Snow levels are high, but we do see weather coming on in. So by noontime roughly on Monday, the AI version of the European model has got the low over northeastern Colorado. As we showed you yesterday, it's small. It's a small footprint, so its moisture footprint will be small. But if you're going to be near this low, it does look like you're going to get wet and white. We still have this blocking pattern up here in Greenland and across the North Atlantic. But we do still have a lot of differences. Therefore, the context, and to put this into context, what happens Sunday into Monday along and east of the divide, very murky, kind of very muddy right now because we have a lot of different scenarios. When you have these lows get kicked out like this, a lot of times you can have some intensification as they cross the continental divide. And the European model, it's got a small but a decent little low coming up into western Nebraska overnight Sunday into Monday morning with this next trough digging in behind it. The AI version is weaker, both with the trough on the backside, but it still has that low here. And this would bring precipitation to some areas of the west, especially right here, late Sunday into Monday. But we have big differences between the models, not only with this low here in its placement, but the strength of this guy here. So there's a lot to sort out. But we do finally have some weather to talk about. The GFS model is way different. It's got a much, much weaker low. It's got a much stronger low back here. But if you compare, look how further west the GFS model is compared to the other models. So this leads to low confidence. The UK Met is a little bit more like the other models with that low kicking out. These lows that get kicked out can be really sneaky and they can be really problematic because a lot of times they won't look like much, but a lot of times they'll produce a little bit more weather than expected. It also has what we call a bit of a negative tilt to it, to where the trough has a tilt that goes a little bit to the southeast. And that a lot of times can cause a little bit of a rapid intensification of things as it jumps the divide. So we'll examine this more closely as we get closer. The net to all of this is that the very nice mild weather is going to hang on for a little bit longer. Then we're going to see changes. And we do have big differences in moisture. The European model is quite wet and white for Wyoming, Montana, and the Dakotas as we get into the Sunday, Monday time frame. This is the 48-hour period for Monday and Tuesday. That's pretty significant, pretty moist, certainly from where we've been right now. However, my suspicions is this is probably overdone. We'll watch it. The GFS model is much, much less robust. Look at the differences between here and here between models. Big, big differences. Nonetheless, there's finally going to be some weather to talk about, and there's weather to talk about after that because another trough comes in the West Coast and wants to come into the Rockies around Wednesday and Thursday of next week. That may be followed up by this one later. So things are certainly going to get more active, but we've got to wait a little longer. Have yourself a good Wednesday and keep your eyes to the skies again tonight.